What is up, guys? My name is Ross, and if you're new here, I'm just a regular dude chilling in a basement, dropping some Photoshop knowledge every Monday morning. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly suggest that you hit the subscribe button below and turn on the notifications because 1, it's completely free to do, no risk involved, and 2, I think everybody else is doing it. So today, I am very excited in all the right areas to share this tutorial with you because have you ever seen a color graded photo in the wild and you're just like, I want that. Well, today you're going to get that, and we're going to do it just using a curves adjustment layer in Photoshop. What we're going to do is reverse engineer the color grading of any image and yes, apply it to any of your images. So let's get into Photoshop. So this is our lovely source image that we're going to reverse engineer the color grading on it, and you can clearly see it's got a very visible green and yellow color cast to it. And then over here in another tab, we have what is going to be our final image that we're going to apply that color grade to. So first, what we need to do is basically degrade this image before we can regrade our image. That sounds fun. It's very poetic. I think Edgar Allan Poe said that. He didn't. I made that up. I was trying to impress you. So what we're going to do is basically find our white balance. So we need to do that by finding our black and white points and setting our gray point as well. So the first things first, I'll link a video above. I've done this before, but I'm gonna rush through it. We're gonna add a threshold adjustment layer, and we're gonna drop this all the way to the left, and that's gonna help us find our black point. And we're gonna mark it using the eyedropper tool with I on the keyboard, and then just shift clicking in this dark area because, as we all know, we pull this to the left, it's going to be finding our darkest areas of the image. And if we pull it to the right, which is what we're going to do next, it's going to find our brightest areas, and we also want to mark those. So you'll see I've got some bright areas up here. I'm going to shift click again, and it's going to drop another number 2 marker for me. So we've got our black and white points mapped out. Now we need to find our gray point. And the way we do that, the quickest way that I've found, is to add a new solid color adjustment layer, make sure it's neutral gray. The way we do that is just 128 across the board in the RGB channels, essentially. Hit OK. And we need to move this now below our threshold layer, just on top of our background layer, and set the blend mode to difference. The blend mode to difference is important because basically with gray as the color on top of the background image, it's trying to find the difference in color values with the image below, which is our background layer. So hypothetically, it's trying to find, if I turn this off, any of the gray points would be black. If they were a solid match, they would be black. So the way that we actually make this very visible and very quickly is still keeping our threshold adjustment layer on top of it, and once again dropping this all the way to the left, like we were setting our black point, but we're not because we're on difference mode. We're finding our gray point. So hypothetically, these areas could all be neutral gray, but you got to be careful because these are showing up as skin tones, and we know a skin tone is not neutral gray. It's got some hue and color there. So I'm going to look for other areas, maybe in the background. So I'm just going to keep creeping this to the right until I find something. And over here I got some. Let me turn these off quick. Maybe down in her shirt, because I know her shirt is white. So I know that should be pretty much gray down in here. I'm going to pull this a little bit more, and I'm going to set my third and final point right down there. We can ditch these layers now. We don't need them. Just delete them. And here's where the fun begins, boys and girls. We are going to set a curves adjustment layer, and this is where all the magic happens. I'll show you. We're going to use these eyedropper tools to set our black point, our white point, and our gray tone, or gray point, as Photoshop would tell us. So start by clicking the black eyedropper tool and clicking on that point that we had marked out. Next, we're going to use our white eyedropper and set our white point. And third and finally, we're going to use the mid-tone or gray to set our gray point. And here we have successfully degraded our image. That's all fine and dandy, Ross, but now what do we do with this information? Well, it's very easy. All we have to do is take this curve adjustment layer and inverse it. Well, that doesn't sound fun. Well, it's actually fun and real easy. All we're going to do is duplicate this layer by hitting Command J. And now you're like, wow, this really looks like dog poo. And it does. But all we're going to do is flip these around. Well, you keep saying that. How do we do it? All we're going to do is go into these channels and inverse the input and output numbers of each of these points. If you take anything away from this video, take this. You need to hit the plus button to cycle through these points because we don't want to move them. We have our white balance set, so we just want to cycle through these points and switch the numbers. So we'll start at our black point, and you'll see the input is 2, the output is 0. We want to put this now to 0 and the output to 2. Hit the plus button. We have 141 and 127. So put 127, 141. And hit plus again. And we got 235 and 255. So we're going to go 255, 235. Boom. Red channel is done. Now we got to do it to our green and blue channels as well. So go into green, 255 and 255. That's a wash. That's easy. We don't change anything. Hit the plus button. We got 19 and 0. So we're going to go 0, 19. Hit the plus button again. We got 156 and 127. So we're going to go 127, 156. Boom. The green channel is done. And finally, we're going to go blue. We got 71 and 127. So we're going to go 127, 71. Plus button. We got 227 and 255. So we're going to go 255 and 227. Plus button again. We got 3 and 0. So we're going to go 0 and 3. Well, what the heck? We're back to our original photo. And that we are, but that is exactly what we wanted, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Because now that we have this, let's rename these. This is our degraded curves. And this is our regraded curves. With this now done, we can easily just drag and drop this to our document over here in this other tab. But you can save any curves as a preset, and that is what we're going to do, because let's say that you want to apply this to many images. So let's go up here to this little menu drop down and go Save Curves Preset. And we're going to call this Yellow Cast. Boom. So let's go into our other document, do a new curves adjustment layer, go here to our preset, it's set at default, and just go down to Yellow Cast. And that quickly and easily, we have our yellow casted image. We've applied the color grade from this image after we degraded it, which it actually looks lovely as a degraded photo, and applied it to our image over here. Now, you can take this even further. You could save this out as a color lookup table and apply it to video work if you wanted to. If you're interested in how to do that, let me know below, because I can make a video on how you could do that too. But because this is a curves adjustment layer, it's quite easy. You can just save it out as a color lookup table. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope this was fun. I hope it was easy. It's that simple to reverse engineer a color grade in Photoshop, and you can do it with one layer, one silly curves adjustment layer. It's as easy as degrading an image and then regrading it by inversing the input and output numbers of that curves adjustment layer. I don't know. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you're excited about it as much as I am. This blew my mind because I see color graded images everywhere. And, you know, I don't think this will replace any presets by any means, but it's a cool way to just kind of reverse engineer and figure out how people color graded their photos. Once again, my name is Ross, and I will catch you guys next time.